Okay. Sometimes I forget my name, so it's helpful. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Justin, for such a generous introduction, but more importantly, thank you for your vote. I am honored to be here with my friends, the next Attorney General of the great state of Georgia, Jen Jordan. The next Labor Commissioner of the great state of Georgia, William Bodie. And just in case there's some confusion, my name is Stacey Abrams, and I intend to be the next governor of the great state of Georgia. Now, I grew up in Mississippi, came of age in Georgia. When I lived in Mississippi, my mom was a librarian. My dad was a shipyard worker. My mother was the head librarian who sometimes made less money than the janitor who cleaned the college where she worked. My father was a shipyard worker who didn't have the opportunity to join an extraordinary labor union like the labor unions we have here in Georgia. And so when my father got hurt on the job, it took 7 years to get his workers' comp claim processed because he didn't have a labor commissioner like William Bodie standing behind him. My parents were what people call working poor. My mother didn't like that, so she called us the genteel poor. We didn't have any money, but we read books and we watched PBS. My parents raised us with 3 values: go to church, go to school, and take care of each other. They say go to church because they wanted us to be grounded in a faith that was larger than ourselves. They wanted us to have the faith that Harriet Tubman had. That no matter what the winds of change would do to you, the Lord would see you through. And that's why I'm so proud I spent this morning in fellowship at a prayer breakfast here in Macon. My parents said that my faith was a shield to protect. It was never to be used as a sword to strike people down. My parents said go to school because they knew education could change our lives, and we see an example of it right there. My parents said you go to school every single day. I didn't miss my first day of school I missed was 10th grade. And my mom made me to go to school for 1 day with mumps because she just thought I had a swollen gland. But my parents believed in education because it changed their lives. And they would tell us you can lose your job, you can lose your house, they can take your car, but no one can take what's in your mind. And so they raised me to believe in education. My parents would also tell us that our job was to serve others. Now, there are 6 of us, so part of that was just the free babysitting. But what my parents really wanted us to know was that no matter how little we had, there was someone with less. Your job was to serve that person. My dad's way of putting it was a lot simpler. He said having nothing is not an excuse for doing nothing. And I'm standing here because I plan to do for the state of Georgia. Well, we moved here when I was a junior in high school, and both of my parents got called into the ministry. We were working poor in Mississippi. We got to Georgia, we were just broke. My mom and dad went to Emory University to do their Masters of Divinity, and I went to DeKalb County High Schools. I graduated in 1991 as the valedictorian of my high school. Well, thank you. That was 30 years ago, but I'm still proud. But when you're graduating as valedictorian in Georgia, one of the perks is that you get invited to the governor's mansion. Now, I was mildly interested in meeting the governor. I was very interested in going to a mansion. I watched a lot of General Hospital as a child, and I really wanted to see this mansion. And so that morning, my mother and my father got up with me, and we took my brothers and sisters to church, and when we came home, we went outside and got back on the bus. You see, my parents didn't have a car. We had one in Mississippi. It broke down when we got to Georgia, and my parents could never afford a new one. And so we took MARTA all over the city of Atlanta. We didn't think anything of it. There was public transit, and we used it. And that Sunday, we got on the MARTA bus, and we went from Decatur all the way to Buckhead. We get off the bus, we walk across West Paces Ferry, walk up the driveway, we get to the top where the guard gate is sitting, and the guard comes out, and he looks at me, and he looks at my parents, and he says, "This is a private event. You don't belong here." And my dad says, no, this is my daughter Stacey. She's one of the valedictorians. But the guard doesn't ask my mother for the invitation that's tucked in her purse. He doesn't look at the checklist that's in his hand to see if my name is on it. Instead, I remember with clarity him looking over my shoulder at the MARTA bus that was pulling away, a bus that had workers on it and families on it, that had students on it, people who needed to get around. And the sneer on his face when he looked back at me said that he hadn't changed his mind. And he made sure I knew it because he said, "Look, I told y'all this is a private event. You don't belong here." Now, my parents moved us to Georgia to become ministers, but they were not pastors yet. And so my mother may have questioned the quality of his upbringing. My father absolutely told him where he was going to spend eternity if he didn't find my name on that list. And after a little bit of engaged discussion, this gentleman finally checked the checklist and he found my name on it and he let us inside. But the thing of it is, I don't remember meeting the governor of Georgia. I don't remember meeting my fellow valedictorians from 180 school districts. My only clear memory of that day is standing in front of the most powerful place in Georgia, looking at this man and having him look at me and tell me I don't belong. But in 5 days, I plan to open those gates wide in the state of Georgia. We're going to open those gates wide in the state of Georgia. And Macon, Bibb County, you're going to make it so. You're going to make it so children grow up knowing a better Georgia is possible. They're going to grow up knowing they have a governor who sees them and who serves them and who believes that power does not belong to the powerful. It belongs to the people of Georgia. And we're going to get this done. In 5 days, we are going to show Georgia what we are and what we're capable of. We are going to make certain that we invest in education from cradle all the way to career, so that when this young man gets the Hope Scholarship I know is coming his way, that he doesn't have to worry that if he decides to stretch his wings and try something hard, he could lose his opportunity to stay in college. Because I am planning to expand the Hope Scholarship so a C student could see their way through college in the state of Georgia. I'm going to work with my friend William Bodie to make sure we make technical college free again so we can get the jobs that pay well in the state of Georgia. And I'm going to make sure we have apprenticeships, 20,000 of them, working with our labor unions, working with our friends, so children can earn while they learn and build the skills they need for the future. That's what we can do in the great state of Georgia. I'm going to make sure we have access to health care in the state of Georgia. On Tuesday, instead of standing in front of an extraordinary place like this museum, and I've had the opportunity to tour it before, this time on Tuesday, I was standing in front of what used to be known as the Atlanta Medical Center. What had been known before that as Georgia Baptist. This is a hospital that sits in the home district of Martin Luther King Jr. This is a hospital that survived 120 years. It survived recessions and depressions. It has survived economic turmoil, but it could not survive 4 years of Brian Kemp. And the problem, Middle Georgia, is that the shutting down of this hospital means that Georgia has 4 level 1 trauma centers and only 1 in metro Atlanta. So from the Tennessee border to Atlanta, there is no other level 1 trauma center besides Grady, which has been diverting ambulances every single day for the last few years. And it used to be that those ambulances could go over to AMC. Well, now they've got to come to Atrium because the closest level 1 trauma center from metro Atlanta is right here in Macon. And I drove down this morning. I don't know that people have an hour and 45 minutes when their lives are on the line. And Brian Kemp doesn't care. He is sitting on $3.5 billion, money that right now could be saving lives in Georgia. And he is refusing the money. But the confounding thing is the hypocrisy of Brian Kemp. You see, Brian Kemp is campaigning this week with Mike Pence, who is governor of Indiana, expanded Medicaid and created 30,000 jobs and did not lose 6 hospitals. He's campaigning with Chris Christie, who expanded Medicaid as the governor of New Jersey, created 50,000 jobs and did not lose 6 hospitals. He's campaigning with Doug Ducey, who is the governor of Arizona, who said he was going to eliminate Medicaid expansion when he got elected and quietly decided not to because he knows it works. And so if Doug Ducey and Chris Christie and Mike Pence all think Medicaid expansion works, what is wrong with Brian Kemp? I'm here to tell you math doesn't work differently in Georgia than it works in any other state. And his refusal to accept Medicaid expansion has cost us lives, it has cost us jobs, and it needs to cost him his occupation, and he needs to get out of the way so we can have Medicaid in the state of Georgia. Brian Kemp is bad for Georgia. On Tuesday, while I was standing there and they were taking the sign off of the hospital so no one would get confused and think they could find help there, Brian Kemp was also shutting down the portal to help people get access to rental assistance. The account has $400 million in it. And Brian Kemp has quietly shut it down so that no one doubts that he has no interest in helping you stay in your house. He shut down that portal on veterans who are going to be facing eviction in the state of Georgia. He shut it down on seniors who need just a little bit of help to stay in their homes. He shut that portal down not because we don't have the money, but because he doesn't have the heart for Georgians. And it is time for Brian Kemp to get his eviction notice and put somebody else in that mansion. We need a governor who believes in education, in health care, in housing, and in helping our families make a good living. Brian Kemp's been busy this week. He did release a report on the fact that right now, 48% of the population, which is people of color in Georgia, only get 1.5% of the contracts. And let's put that in numbers. We are half the population, but only 1.5% of almost $6 billion in contracts every year. Now, a few weeks ago, we were on a debate stage together, and I asked him about it, and he gave a very long answer that said he doesn't know and don't care. But then he put out a report, and the report says, well, now I know, and I still don't care. I have a plan for Georgia. I have a plan to create a $10 million small business investment fund so small businesses get the same resources that big companies get in Georgia. I have a plan to expand purchasing so we don't just buy things from the folks that Brian Kemp knows. We buy things in Middle Georgia to serve Middle Georgia. And I have a plan to make sure that if you are a person of color who has a small business, you get the same opportunity to compete for opportunity in the state of Georgia. I plan to be the Maynard Jackson of Georgia if you help me get there. But I can't get there alone. And we've got to get there because we're in crisis. Because there is one thing Brian Kemp is very good at. He has been exceptional at attacking our freedoms. He attacked our freedom to vote while he was Secretary of State. And lest we forget, he decided to do it again in 2021 when he was frustrated by the results of that election. But now we were going to have a Secretary of State, not one who gets credit for not committing treason, but a B. Wynn who's going to get credit for saving our right to vote and protecting the people of Georgia. Because we be winning when B. Wynn becomes our Secretary of State. We're going to have an Attorney General who doesn't sue to steal our right to vote, but Jen Jordan who's going to protect our right to vote in the state of Georgia. We deserve a governor who understands that when we show up at the polls, it's not because of his bad bill. It's despite his attempt to stop us from being heard. I find it very convenient that he doesn't understand that in the state of Georgia, there have been obstacles put in place. That there are those of us who've actually had our right to vote challenged, our citizenship questioned. I'm here to tell you, just because there are more people in the water doesn't mean there are fewer sharks. But we're going to show them who we are, aren't we? We're going to show up and we're going to show out and we're going to show America that SB 202 will not shut us down. It's going to make us stand up and vote, make us stand up and win, because that's our right. But Brian Kemp has also made it less safe for us in Georgia. He has attacked our freedom to be secure by weakening gun laws. This is a man who banned a background check in the state of Georgia and stood on the debate stage with me and said it wasn't true because he didn't understand the law he signed. I don't know if he was lying or confused, but either way, he needs some time off to understand things. Now look, I believe in the Second Amendment. My great-grandmother Moo Moo taught me how to shoot. And she said two things. Number one, you don't point that weapon at anything you don't plan to shoot, even in a commercial. But she also said that the person holding the weapon is the one responsible. And when Brian Kemp eliminated a background check in the state of Georgia, he made the rest of us less safe. Everyone is law-abiding until they break the law. And I believe, look, I rarely quote Ronald Reagan, but he said trust but verify. And that's why we need background checks. Look, I'm here to tell you, Macon, I know you all are facing violent crimes. Gun violence is outrageous. And when you've got a governor who is weakening gun laws and flooding our streets, you need a governor who knows you can protect the Second Amendment and protect second graders at the exact same time. And that's why I'm here. That's what I'm going to do as the next governor of Georgia. He has attacked our freedom to vote. He has attacked our freedom to be safe. And he's attacked a woman's right to choose. And in yet another moment of clarity and hypocrisy, he has said that Herschel Walker is entitled to his personal life, but the women of Georgia are not. And I asked him on that stage, what's the difference? The equipment? Brian Kemp stood on that stage and said that he might indeed sign more legislation to take more of our rights from us. He got caught on a hot mic saying he would take away a right to contraception. He got caught on a hot mic saying he was open to the idea of limiting women's access to IVF. And the reality is Brian Kemp isn't lying to us now. And we need to believe him. He is willing to strip women of their bodily autonomy. He is willing in a state that is already #1 for maternal mortality to make it even more dangerous for women to live here. He is willing to investigate women who experience pregnancy loss. Imagine having a sheriff knocking on your door after you've had a miscarriage. That's Brian Kemp's Georgia. It took a man to break the promise. It's going to take a woman to put it right. But Megan, but I can't get there without you, Megan. I can't get there without you. We need more in the state of Georgia. So I need you to do what my friend William Bodie said. He said 30 people. I'm gonna knock that down. I need y'all to find 5 people today and call them up. 5 people that you owe money to. 5 people who owe you money. 5 people you're mad at. 5 people who are mad at you. I need you to find 5 people you broke up with. Because some of y'all know you think you're cute. And I need you to maybe find 1 or 2 you want to get together with. But we've got to find folks who don't know that they have the right to change in the state of Georgia. That they have the right to more in the state of Georgia. And if you agree with me, I need you to say more. Say more. If you want more money in your pocket, say more. If you want more opportunity in your community, say more. If you want more opportunity in your business, say more. If you want more freedom in your lives, say more. If you want more for our children, say more. If you want more for our seniors, say more. If you want more for labor, say more. If you want more for our veterans, say more. If you want more for Georgia, say more. Say more. Say more. Now let's get it done. Thank you. Okay, now here's one more. Do y'all want more pictures? Okay, we're going to do a photo line. That means I'm not going to do a secret selfie. We're going to take a photo over by the bus. So I need y'all to line up. Kelsey, raise your hands. There we go. Go line up over there.
And if you guys can line up,
if y'all will line up, we can take pictures. Now, the goal is y'all are going to post these pictures. These should not be lost in your phone. Put those pictures on social media so everyone knows that we got to win this. Okay? Go get in line. Let's take a picture together.
All right. You guys are going to line up near the speakers. So come on back this